Hi, Rebecca.
Hello, Lorna.
Hi, I'm delighted to introduce Rebecca Rose from an amazing brand called To The Fairest. And the first question I'm going to ask you is actually the name, where it comes from, because that's really interesting.
It is. And hi, Lorna. It's lovely to see you. So, To the Fairest were the words inscribed on a golden apple in the Garden of Hesperides. So, it's loosely inspired by classical mythology and these imagined landscapes.
It's what we all want to dream. We want to escape. We want to go to other worlds. And you're very much on trend with that at the moment, that's for sure. Now, you didn't start in perfumery. Just let me know where you started so that our viewers can know where your background's coming and how you came to enjoy the wonderful world of perfume.
So, my background, I used to be an art historian, and then I moved more into vintage fashion, and I had a vintage fashion boutique in London for 9 years. And it was actually through the vintage fashion connection that I met a woman I know that you're very familiar with, Lizzie Ostrom, who is
Oh,
a
yeah.
wonderful perfume writer. And we really hit it off. And, over the years, I was explaining that I had this idea for launching a fragrance brand, but I thought the barrier to entry would just be too high in terms of launching with this fully formed collection. I wanted to do something a little bit more gradual, the slow beauty model, and build with our customer. And we were chatting about this, and she introduced me to a woman, a creative perfumer, Penny Williams, who is looking to do something a little bit more experimental and work with smaller quantities. So Penny and I met up, we talked about these ideas, and we've been working together ever since.
That's great. And interestingly enough, you're saying, you were interested in vintage and history and everything like that, but I think you're actually very ahead of the trends. As I was saying, ethereal worlds, different worlds. We're doing a lot of that on the site and Instagram and all our platforms at the moment, because we know that people are looking for something a bit more from the perfume. You started off, was it with Cecile? Was
Yes.
Cecile your first? Tell me more about Cecile.
So Cecile, our first fragrance, and as I mentioned, we were building the brand one fragrance at a time. So there was quite a lot of pressure to get this right at the very beginning in terms of communicating exactly what the brand was about and the mood of the fragrance. So I wanted to create something very wearable, but also something that had a little bit of an edge that really captured people's imaginations. And Cecile is the name of the main character in the book called Bonjour Tristesse. It's set in the French Riviera. I wanted to capture those lovely sun-drenched moments, that holiday feeling of that particular landscape. It's also about a young woman who's sort of on the cusp of womanhood, what that means in terms of freedom, exuberance, and bringing all of that emotion into the mood of the scent. So with top notes, we have citrus, it's bergamot, a little bit of mandarin, and as it dries down and warms up on the skin, it gets warmer and warmer. You've got some clove bud in there, but also some amber and coconut milk.
Yes, the clove bud gives it that. It's very warm. It's fresh,
Yeah.
but it's warm. And then it gives it a spiciness. Very easy to wear. All of your fragrances are very easy to wear. After Cecile, which one did you do next?
So the next fragrance is called Ordre Cosmique, which is quite a departure. It's much more nocturnal, much more androgynous, and it was inspired by the sky at night. So we wanted to capture that quite fresh metallic note at the beginning, trying to replicate this idea of twinkling stars. And so we did that with bergamot, but this time with added cardamom in to get the freshness.
Yeah.
And that masculine charge that dries down actually in something much softer, more velvety. And at the bottom, we have cacao pod, which I don't think is too chocolatey, syrupy, sweet. We try to use something very dry, almost like a cocoa powder. And that just sits so beautifully on the skin.
It's quite interesting for me because this is one that I really enjoy wearing, and it is the juxtaposition between the kind of fresh metallic almost smell that you get when you first put it on, but then there's a kind of musky mystery in the base. It's really lovely combination. Great, well done. And next.
The next one is called Aubine. So again, just as much as a departure to the last one. And this was designed to, it's our first white floral. And so I wanted to create something that captured that moment of optimism and delight at the beginning of a new day. So we have gardenia, really luminous, bold gardenia note to begin with. As it dries down, gets softer and woodier and woodier. And at the bottom, along with the woody notes, you've got frankincense as well, to just give it a little bit more sophistication. And interestingly, this fragrance is most popular with our younger customers.
That's interesting. Or maybe, mind you, sometimes you can wear a fragrance that's quite popular that makes you feel younger. And I think
Yes.
with that one, it does. Because does Aubin mean dawn? So it's
Yes.
the promise of the new day, what's going to happen. So there's an excitement element in there. And it's all about what perfume can make you feel. And definitely I like this one when I'm feeling a little bit kind of like, what are we lift? You know,
Yes.
so, or maybe I'm just wanting to be younger. We won't answer that question.
It's definitely got that pick-me-up sensation, I hope. That's what we wanted to really bring into the fragrance.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly does. And then, of course, Elan Vital. Tell me about that.
So I would say this is our most unconventional fragrance. It was the keyword, I suppose, is grounding. We wanted to create a fragrance that really captured the sensation of going off grid. It's got lovely forest floor notes, also quite mulchy. There's some beetroot in there in terms of a note, and has a strong masculine energy, I would say, traditional masculine energy. And I absolutely love it. And actually, as you know, Lorna, this one recently won an award in Red Magazine for Best Independent Fragrance, which is just wonderful, because I wasn't quite sure how this fragrance would be sort of received, and, you know, as well as the other ones. But actually, it seemed to have really captured people's imagination.
I actually think you did something very, very clever with it. Again, it's being on trend, Rebecca, in that people are looking for something like that. And as we know nowadays, it's not really male and female fragrances. It's wear whatever you want. You know, there are no rules in fragrance. You'll never get it wrong. You might say, oh, I've got to wear more of that one, or I might wear less of that one. But with Elan Vital, what I found was it was very grounding. It was very, you know, for this time where we need it. And it really helps people to be a bit different and be themselves. I think that's why it may have resonated, and maybe with the Red readers. Congratulations on that award. You so deserve it, because I do believe you're visionary. You're really on trend with what you're doing with your range at the moment. And I wish you every success. And I'm so delighted you're part of the Perfume Society. We have sampled some of your fragrances, and the comments are amazing of why people like them, and different reasons. So if I can recommend to anybody, have a go, try them. You know, the really, really very forward thing. I think you've got modern fragrances, but with an unusual twist. And I think you do it very, very well. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lorna. That means a great deal from you.